Everybody ready? Everybody ready? Call a meeting to order. In accordance with the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act, Section 30-40-80E, South Carolina Code 1987 as amended, all the media in the immediate area have been notified of the date, time, location, and agenda of the meeting. We'll have our prayer by Mr. Govan, and will you lead us in our pledge, Ms. Kelly?
Let's bow our heads. Father, it is when we come to ask your guidance and your blessings. We ask God that you allow us to have a meeting that is meaningful and purposefully designed for your good and will. We ask God that we will make decisions that are in the best interest of our children and the citizens of Darlington County. And upon adjourning this meeting, you will allow us to have safe travels back to our respective homes. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I get a motion to approve the agenda? Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. No citizens' comments tonight. And it looks like we have some awards, honors, and recognitions. So we have our all-star softball team, our all-star baseball team, our all-star softball team, all-star baseball team, our track and field, and work-based learning.
So Mr. Schuler is going to start us with
All right.
athletics.
There's two.
Good evening, everyone. It's an honor and privilege to recognize some of our outstanding student athletes for our district, representing all high schools. First, we'll be recognizing two Hartsville student athletes who've earned spots on the 2025 South Carolina Coaches Association of Women's Sports North and South All-Star teams. So when I call your name, we ask that you come forward and have a picture with our board chair and our superintendent. We ask that Jasha McCullough and Carter Shoemate please come forward. Athletic Director, Coach Booth, and Head Coach, Coach Harvey.
Thank you.
Here, so y'all want to hop up and take a picture? We'll hold.
Pretty fast smile.
We'll hold.
I don't know.
Am I hopping in it?
You want one on your own camera. Oh, good.
Save you, man. I couldn't get there fast enough. Couldn't quite get there fast enough. Be in this picture. All right, ready, y'all? 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You work hard too.
Next, we have baseball recognition. Two Hartsville High students earned spots on the 2025 South Carolina Baseball Coaches Association North and South All-Star Baseball Team. We ask that Jackson Moore and William Webb Barnes come forward. Next, we have 4 student athletes who have earned spots on the 2025 South Carolina Coaches Association of Women's Sports All-State Softball Team. For Hartsville High, we ask that you come forward, Maya Harvey and Jasha McCullough. Once again, Principal Taylor Lewis, Coach Booth, Athletic Director, and Coach Harvey, Head Softball Coach.
If you've already gotten a trophy, there's not a second trophy. So take your picture. Thank you.
All right, next we have from Darlington High, All-State Team South Carolina Coaches Association for Women's Sports, Miss Emily Johnson, please.
It's a girls' state.
She's at Girls State.
Okay.
All right, next we have Lamar High School, All-State 2025 South Carolina Coaches Association of Women's Sports. Miss Abigail Abby McManus, please come forward.
She's not with us.
Principal, Mr. William Leonard, AD, Mr. Burgess, and head coach Shane Brantley. All right, next we have 4 Hartsville High School baseball players who earned spots on the South Carolina Baseball Coaches Association for All-State Baseball. These individuals are William Webb Barnes, Jackson Moore, Jaden Atkinson, and Brandon Anderson. We ask that Coach Humphreys come forward. I'm sorry, Coach.
Yep. Okay. That's track. We'll take gaming this time. We got it.
I'm sorry.
We got it.
All right.
Y'all scoot in tight. Look at me for just a second. Smile. Family. You are. Thank you.
Congratulations, man.
All right, next we have 6 student athletes who earned all-state recognition from South Carolina Track and Cross Country Coaches Association. These students are Antoine Seegers, boys 110 hurdles and high jump. Demarion Cole, boys 4x100 relay. Hakeem Waters, boys 4x100 relay. Tristan Span, boys 4x100 relay. And Trace Hillian, Hartsville High, boys 4x100 relay. That was Coach Humphreys.
Coach, how are you? Let's see.
Y'all kind of turn just a little bit sideways. Everybody turn a little bit more sideways. Sideways? Now scoots in a little bit. All right, there we go. Look at me. Coach, could you take a step forward just a little bit, please? Thank you. Ready? Thank you. Yes.
And our final recipient for tonight has all-state recognition for boys 100 meters, 200 meters, and high jump. And also this individual won the state championship in all 3 events representing Lamar High School. Mr. Xavier Zoom Jackson, please come forward.
Sorry. Thank you.
This concludes the recognitions for athletics at this time.
Good evening. It's my honor to recognize our South Carolina Work-Based Learning Student of the Year. Walker Brown has been named the 2025 South Carolina Work-Based Learning Student of the Year by South Carolina Department of Education. The award recognizes an outstanding work-based learning student who exemplifies and demonstrates applying academia to real life, real work, and real-world situations in a business or industry environment. Brown was part of the Darlington County Schools District's Keys to Career program and graduated this year from Hartsville High School and the Darlington County Institute of Technology. At DCIT, he was a double completer, completing programs in both welding and auto collision. As part of his work-based learning experience, Brown logged more than 800 internship hours at Nucor Steel during his senior year. If Mr. Walker would step forward to be recognized.
Congratulations again, figure out how to get this yet. You're good.
I'm sorry.
Just curious, do we know what his next steps are? What he's doing next? Do you know? I can't remember saying it.
Walker.
Walker.
What are your plans
What's your,
after?
what's your plan, what are your plans next?
I'm going to Lawrence Johnson Tech to take industrial maintenance.
Yep.
So hopefully, I'll be able to get my internship with Newport for that program.
No, that's what I was wondering, if maybe they had made him an offer.
Yeah,
Or if he was
so,
gonna
because you're
have
still getting some
opportunity
hours in
here.
with Nucor, aren't you?
Yes, sir. I got asked to stay over the summer.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's great.
That's a big deal. I mean,
Yep.
state. That's a really big deal.
All right, our next regular meeting will be July 14th at 6 o'clock here in the training office room here. And then, where'd I go? There will be a joint meeting, oh, hold on.
Yep.
You didn't have to tell them.
I thought you were trying to change it.
They know now.
We are, but are we gonna, the meeting, won't we have the meeting?
We will, we'll have it.
But we won't host.
Yeah, maybe we'll.
Yeah.
That's what, yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're not gonna host, we're
Yep.
gonna try and switch. They assign us when we're not. There will be a Darlington County Municipal Council, County Council's Board of Education Legislative Delegation on the June 30th, location to be determined, so we're not sure where that one was going to be this round. Got a motion to approve our May meeting, May minutes.
Would we approve minutes?
Can I get a second?
Yep, second.
All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right, for reports and videos. We have workforce development.
Yep. So Dr. Shannon Flowers is with us tonight to give her annual update. It used to be on just one program, but now we are up to 3 programs and growing. So she's going to talk to us a little bit about what's been going on over the past year with workforce development.
Hello. So I want to start just by saying, thank you for inviting me in to get this update. I go to a lot of different events in different districts and different organizations, and I'm always asked what is a business engagement coordinator. And I kind of tell them, it's kind of similar to work-based learning coordinator, project program manager, human resources specialist, business person, Uber driver, data analyst, social media marketer, appointment scheduler, counselor, cheerleader, public speaker, event planner, and at one point I actually got to be a car mechanic this semester. But ultimately, I am a relationship builder and an educator, and I enjoy being able to let you guys know how those two things are working out for us within the district. So, thank you. Okay, so work-based learning programs at a glance are 3 core programs. The Key to Career Internship Program, of course, for high school. The Ascend program with middle school and Career Time Tuesday elementary school. We had some other big initiatives that we worked on this year. At the beginning of the year, the academic year, we had the town hall and community fairs. In the spring, I helped coordinate the Lieutenant Governor's visit to Sunoco. We had our career exploration and hiring fair in the spring, and also the lunch and learns with the local chambers. So I want to start kind of with our updates about Key to Career. We had 159 internships this year, 77 in the fall that were completed, and 82 in the spring that were completed. Our goal, of course, is for paid internships, but when we get close to the end of the semester, if there are students that were unable to find placement, we find them unpaid placement so that they can still get their internship credit. We had that with 15 students this year. It was a difficult semester to find placements. For a couple of different reasons, but one of those being that some of our partners were so pleased with their fall internship cohorts that they kept them throughout the spring and did not take new interns in the spring. That was Sunoco Products Company. They kept all 10 of their fall students. Newport Steel kept 3 of their 5. Care South Carolina, they kept all but 3 of theirs. So that kind of cut down on the positions that we had available. Also, some of our partners did not participate because of some economic uncertainty, so we had an issue there. If you'll notice, because it was such a difficult time getting positions, they worked a lot less hours this time, even though our numbers are up, the number of hours they worked are down, because last year we had around 16,000 hours worked, and this year is 10,569. We had 69 partners, including 18 first-time partners, and they earned $116,138. We do have a couple of students completing internships and fellowships this summer, particularly with the McLeod Industrial Maintenance Program. So we have 3 that are CTE students at DCIT that are also doing that this summer through the program. I want to point out a little bit. Over here we have our manufacturing and healthcare. They are still our 2 highest employers, so places like Sunoco, North Industrial Machine, Hog Precision, those are the people that are taking the majority of our students. And even though healthcare is our 2nd highest, of course, there is an other section that takes up most of them, because most of our partners will only take 1 or 2 interns. So over 20% of our partners only take 1 intern, but the majority are taken by manufacturing and healthcare. But healthcare is somewhere where we continue to struggle to get enough partners. We've been very thankful to partner with Care South Carolina this year, the Center for Health and Wellness, but we would love to have additional healthcare partners. And the majority of our students this academic year came from Hartsville High School and Mayo. We had about 11% of them that were DCIT students, which is something that we worked on last year, and in decreasing those numbers. I think it went down a little bit this year, but a lot of the students that registered for internship through their home schools were also DCIT students. And so this is kind of the wrap-up of about 5 years, because the program started in 2019. 2020 was pretty much defunct, so we've got about 5 years of data here, and that has been 555 total internships and 105 total partners over the 5 years that have participated at least once. Over $500,000 earned, and our overall retention rate is at 57%. So and what that means is that 57% of our students were asked to continue past their initial internship period. So for some of them, that looks like summer employment. For some of them, they were asked to stay on permanently. One student, for example, went away to college. I always like to bring him up, Mr. Reed Turner. He worked for Sunoco with us last year in the fall and the spring, and then in the summer he worked with them through their Emerging Leaders program, and then went to school at Clemson University, and they sent him with a laptop so that he could work for them all year as well, and now he's back working with them again this summer. Some of our continued barriers, last year we were able to get the WIOA in-school youth fund, so that also we took a hit with that this year. I have been in conversations with some of the PDCOG board members, and that is a discussion for next year, so we do hope to see that pick up. But if you see, year over year, we are getting more and more students that are interested in internships. We're having more and more internship placement, but the actual amount of partners and the amount of money that they're making has gone down a little bit. And that is in great part due to the number of hours they were able to work this year. Next, we have the Ascend 8th grade tour program, Advanced Student Career Exploration and Needs Development. We had 16 partners this year. We had 14 partners in the fall and 16 in the spring. Those 14 in the fall returned to also participate in the spring. 120 total tours. So just like we have in years past, each 8th grade student has the opportunity to visit 4 different organizations, spend half a day with them, do some active learning activities, and have lunch. This will be the telling year, I believe, because we started with those 60 students in that spring 23 cohort, and they are now rising juniors. So we will be able to see what is on their IGPs. Are they registering for CTE classes? Are they trying to take an internship? So this will be a really telling year for us. This year we kicked off Career Time Tuesday. The original goal was to have 18 speakers per month because we have 9 elementary schools that have 5th grade classes, and we focused on 5th grade students. We averaged about 13 speakers, so sometimes the school only had 1 speaker instead of 2. The reason that we settled on this number is because we wanted a speaker from each career cluster over the 8 months that they do this. The speakers will continue to represent the career clusters, but moving forward, it will be 14 career clusters, 8 schools, and 72 sub-clusters. So things will look a little bit different in terms of how they are scheduled next year. We had 97 different speakers. A lot of them brought activities with them that the students really loved. Career Time Tuesday was a hit with the students. That Riverbend Builders, one of our partners that has done both internships and Career Time Tuesday, came in with graham crackers to construct houses. And someone from First Health came in and taught students about being a genetic counselor by analyzing alien DNA, so pretend DNA. And the PDRTA, who has also been a premier partner for us in every way, they came in and actually let students tour their buses. And this picture that you see here was an EMS service, and they brought out a bus and the students got to climb on board. We also had our career exploration and hiring fair for the first time. We planned the career fair for September, but then the hurricane came, so we had to cancel it. It was supposed to be 2 separate events, but we combined. Coker University was kind enough to let us use the Deloach Center. We had 33 vendors, and 11 of those vendors were accepting on-site applications. Every 7th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grader was bused to Coker University. We also had the PD Regional Transportation Authority that helped us on that day as well. They volunteered to bring some of our students because we had to cut off at a certain time so that our buses could go back to pick up students in the afternoon. So students really enjoyed riding PDRTA back and forth from their high schools too. We had a lot of strong community support, student engagement. I saw a lot of social media activity, people reposting that we were going to do this, and I think overall that we can consider it a success. We had 79% of the vendors that indicated that they had more than 50 meaningful interactions. Another thing that was really good though is that even though we only had 11 that said they were accepting on-site applications, we probably had about 20 of those 33 that at least took a resume that day. So we had some students that lined up at the Kona ice truck outside just to get a snack before they went back to school and left talking about a summer job at Kona Ice. So everybody who was there that day were interacting in a way to help someone at least get a summer job. We did open it up to the public in the afternoon because we were going to have so many people there. We wanted to give people the opportunity that were current job seekers in the community to come out once our students were no longer on site. It was low, but we did have about 25 people come out. We also had a lot of our vendors by that point that had decided that they were packing up for the day and they weren't going to stay. But if we continue to do this, that would be something we need to discuss if we want to continue to open it to the public and maybe market it differently. So I sent out a lot of surveys with the students, with the educators, with our partners, and I just wanted to kind of give you some of the highlights of that data. So for the Key to Career Internship Program, 89% of the students rate their experience as excellent. 75% said the experience helped to decide career-related decisions, which is the goal, right? We want them making those tough decisions now so that they know what they're doing when they graduate. 100% recommend internships to other students, which I think is really telling. If every single one of them, even if they didn't say that they had an excellent experience, thinks that somebody else should do it, I think that that's a good indicator of progress. With our partners, 92% said the experience was valuable to their organization, and 94% said the interns were prepared to go to work. In terms of Ascend students, 88% said that they learned something new. 75% said that Ascend helped them think about future careers, and also part of that was whether or not what classes they would take in high school, so that percentage was around the same. 21% of them said sort of, which, we're talking about 8th graders, so when we are surveying 8th graders, I try to make it as simple as possible, so they had 3 choices, and the choices were yes, sort of, and no. And so that's still a pretty good indication that even sort of is okay. The partners that participated, 100% agree or strongly agree that Ascend is valuable to their organization, students, and the future workforce. 96% of the teachers, counselors that participate in Ascend responded very true to statements affirming Ascend's benefit, impact on career awareness, course planning, student engagement, and that it supports the IGP process that they begin in 8th grade. And then Career Time Tuesday, I only surveyed the educators, but the teachers, counselors, and principals said agree or strongly agree that it's beneficial to the students, and 94% agree or strongly agree that they learned something new from Career Time Tuesday speakers. Not their students, that they learned something new from Career Time Tuesday speakers. So, of course, there were some concerns that I'm looking at that data and going back and talking to some people. One of the concerns with Key to Career is that they're wanting more time with interns, but of course, they have classes and we can't let them out of school before 2 o'clock. But that is one of the things that we need to address, ways that they can get more hours. And of course, on top of that, like I previously mentioned, getting them in there earlier so that they can get their hours. Ascend student participation, we had an issue with a lot of Ascend students just not showing up on Ascend Day. So I've been talking with principals and career specialists about ways that we can try to curb that next year to encourage more of them to participate. And then Career Time Tuesday, we had some no-shows. So when I'm getting that feedback, they're like, well, it just stinks when somebody doesn't show up. And I agree with that also. So we're going to make sure that we are talking to people. We send out reminders. We did talk to people, but Ms. Spears and I have also decided that we're working out a calendar system so that they can get automatic reminders. And ultimately, we did have people the day before say, yeah, I'll be there, and then they didn't show up the next morning. So, but we are going to continue to engage those people and hope that that improves next year. Some other initiatives and some things that we did outside of the district, helped coordinate 2 town hall events last July. Participation was very low, but for a first event, we did get some really positive feedback. I presented at multiple civic events and remained involved with the local chambers, and that included hosting the Lunch and Learn and Coffee and Conversation with Dr. Newman. Presented at the Education and Business Summit last summer with Robbie Smith, and then I was asked to present again this summer, so I'll be presenting in a couple of weeks. I was able to be a panelist for the National Career Development Association in San Diego, California last July. And then something that I was really appreciative to be able to be a part of was that the Department of Employment and Workforce reached out to me and they said, hey, you know, you're doing a lot of things with youth employment. Lieutenant Governor Yvette is really focused on youth employment now. Who do you think we should highlight? And I said, 100% Sunoco Products Company, because they're involved in everything that we do. So I helped over several months coordinate bringing Lieutenant Governor Yvette to Sunoco Products Company. I was a panelist last week at the Honda of South Carolina and Department of Employment Workforce Summer of Learning event. We've got a lot of positive feedback just about participating there. So there were educators from Richland 1 and Greenville, and they were really excited about some of the things that we're doing here in the PD. And then you guys know earlier Walker was introduced, so we had a small event with Nucor where they celebrated him with our regional career specialist, and that was really special to be able to participate with. One thing that we didn't discuss is that Walker was also the Harbor Freight Fellow of the Year. So he was Harbor Freight Fellow of the Year, Regional Student of the Year, and then again, the State Student of the Year. So thinking about next steps, this summer I'm working on a program for our intellectually disabled students, so ID mild students. We're going to call it RISE, so Real World Integration and Skills for Employment. I've been having a lot of meetings this summer trying to talk to people about the potential of hiring some of our students with intellectual disabilities. We are going to start small. We're hoping to have around 5 students this first year just to see how that goes. Thank you. Very excited to say that Counselor Spears will be with me full-time this year, and I'm really excited to see how we can continue to improve these programs together with more manpower. And then I want to continue to seek additional grant funding to support our programs. Our money that we got from the Byerly Foundation 2 years ago to support our transportation efforts, that money has now been depleted, so I am actively looking for more funds to be able to continue that partnership with them. And they are really excellent partners because they are also looking for grant money for us to be able to continue to partner with them. And then some of my key performance indicators I have listed there, just the number of students we're placing, the number of business partners, new versus returning. And I kind of set some goals for myself. I would love to see 175 internship placements this next year and just an increase in our new partners and earnings. And 20 total partners for Ascend, because the more partners we have, the smaller the groups are, which means better engagement that the students are going to get there. I would like to see at least 120 presentations with Career Time Tuesday, and I would love to have 3 partners for those 5 students that we're looking to place with RISE. And I just wanted to end by highlighting some of the pictures from the different things that we've done since last July. And you know, you'll see from Walker's celebration there in the center, we had one of our students that presented at Sunoco to their board. So that was really exciting for him. These are just different shots from Ascend, Career Time Tuesday, and different things that we have done this year. And again, thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. I do want you to know it has been a year of progress, but it has also been a very difficult year, particularly for internships. We had 9 students that I was not able to place that were juniors that I have referred to the fall, so I'll be looking for positions for them in the fall. And then we had 12 students that I was not able to place at all. And that's very difficult for me to have to sit down with a student at the end of the semester and say, you know, you put everything you could into this, but there was just nothing that we could do because the positions were not there. So my goal is to continue to work so that we have positions for every student. Any questions for me?
Any questions? Ms. Lowe's?
Can you just speak a little bit to like the business partners, kind of this is awesome. It shows, and I know your focus is education, but we get a lot of positive feedback from our business partners as well in the community. So from their perspective, maybe just, I mean, you can't speak for them, but maybe just a few things you've heard.
Well, for one, like I had a meeting with Sunoco the other day, and Matt Moore was there, and they praise our students. They talk about how well that they interview and how much they want to continue participating. I will say, as a side note too, I was told that our programs are working so well and bringing so much attention that other districts outside who have employees that work at places like Sunoco and Nucor are going and saying, hey, how can my child be a part of this? So it's putting them in a situation too where they're going to have to open up their doors to some other areas, which may also impact our numbers. But they love our students. They love the work that they're doing with our students. And I think the fact that other people see that and want that too is a testament of how well they're doing. We do still continue our work with the Darlington County Progress Board, and they've been supportive. As you know, last year they helped provide transportation costs for Ascend. Negativity is not something that I hear a lot of when I'm sitting down with our current partners. The biggest concern has been finding the money in their budgets to be able to continue to serve our students.
So I'm assuming Newport and Sunoco are able to bring in interns that are less than 18 years old?
It depends on what they're going to do. So, and even like Hog Precision, he will bring them onto their floor when they're 17, but they're not allowed to drive a forklift until they're 18 and those kinds of things. Nucor only took 18-year-olds.
See, that was our issue. I do. But it sounds like they're able to work it out, figure out how to just get 18-year-olds.
The Project Rise that you're proposing, how is that going to differ from Project Search that is at Carolina Pines?
Project Search is a national program with
Right.
some parameters where they have to take classes on site, and this will just solely be focused on helping them gain the workforce learning hours, work-based learning hours. One of the things that when Ms. Tu and Dr. Newman went to meet with Clemson is they were told they have to have a certain amount of hours before they can even be considered to be a part of that program. So not only does it help with our credentialing process, it helps them be able to get into assisted living programs like that. And so we just want to give more students the opportunity than the ones that come back for a fifth year to go to Search, because that's another one of the differences. They do have to come back for a fifth year to take their classes on site, whereas this will be for our students that are in their fourth year as a senior.
Yeah, and basically we have credential programs at Hartsville High School and Darlington High School for our ID students. And so they're required to get a certain amount of hours in for their program to get the credential. In the past, voc rehab has played a part in this, but it's been more and more difficult to find hours for our students. So these are the two separate programs, the credential program versus the search program. And so our special needs office had asked, since we are involved so much with work development, could we help? And our first struggle was, how do you go to Sunoco and say, here are, they select the students that they feel are the best students that would fit the need of the internships that they have, and then you have a completely different student that is going to need a completely different type of mentor and the type of work that they need to provide, right? So we were trying to figure out the messaging piece. When we went and saw Clemson Life and saw the program and how the students are involved in Clemson Life, they actually gave us a lot of feedback on how we can help. It became very clear to us that we could get involved and just make sure to market this to our employers to say, look, this is a different program. This is not workforce development that you may be looking for somebody for full time, but this is a need that our students have in order for them to be able to get accepted to any life program. So there's life programs at Clemson, Coastal Carolina, USC, Winthrop, and I think Lander. There's a fifth one. There's 5 in the state of South Carolina. It's very competitive, and one of the big things they look at is, do you have job experience? And so we're really trying to help all of our students with this as we move forward.
Anybody else with any questions? Thank you so much.
The other thing, I just want to piggyback real quick for this semester and the challenges. Before we were trying to gain enough employers to support we're trying to get enough students involved, and then we're trying to get enough employers involved, and everything hit first semester. We had the biggest numbers we've ever had for first semester, and then the economy uncertainty hit. And that has been our biggest challenge because, again, just like during COVID, we had 0 internships. When businesses aren't quite sure what's going to happen, especially even in the bond market, because that drives how much they're going to potentially, grow or have new possibilities for workers, they're hesitant to bring in an intern if they may make some changes with their full-time force. So it's difficult. And so that we were lined up for that 175 to 200, and then the uncertainty, unfortunately. But I'm really proud of the fact that we were still able to have that many during the uncertainty, especially from our partners that have been with us for years. So I know there was some frustration we actually had a bumper amount of students this year. So students are catching on and parents are, but unfortunately we just didn't have as many jobs.
Hopefully we're learning from that, because hopefully this program continues to grow, right? And we can continue to, you'll need more help, we know.
Yes.
But, hopefully we'll continue to grow, and as it grows, we're going to have to figure out those challenges so that we can continue to give kids opportunities. So maybe it was a good opportunity to learn some things about, the businesses and their way of doing things, and how we can plug in differently. So I'm sure it's a learning experience.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I've been sitting here trying to think how to ask this question, and I put you on the spot. But if you had a wish list, what would be the one thing that you would ask this board to do in helping you to enhance this program?
Money. And I know that's the easy answer, right? But a lot of times we have partners or people that want to partner and they don't have the money, but it's the best possible fit for a student to be able to have that experience, but they can't pay them. But it's not fair for us to place a student and say they can't make money when everybody else is. To take away some of those concerns about whether or not we're going to be able to provide transportation for them. All of it is just economic.
And I ask that because I realize that in reality, every kid is not going to go to college.
Right.
So if the workforce is where we need to look at educating our children to go, so to speak, I'm just trying to figure out what we as a board, or even as a community, can do to help strengthen this.
The biggest thing is just spreading awareness and making sure that everybody knows about our programs, because I can have conversations with HR professionals all day long, and then they take it back to their CEOs, and their CEO will say, oh, well, I don't know enough about that, we're not going to do it. Or vice versa. I sit down with the CEO, and they're like, yes, this is my HR coordinator, give them a call, and then I never get a call back. So the more people that know about this program and know about what we're doing, the more participation that we're going to have. And that is why I feel like building relationships is one of my primary functions, because just like when I got invited to Honda the other day, I have not been able to get in with Honda to talk about internships, but because I was on a panel at Honda, now we are going to sit down and have that conversation about whether or not they would be interested in taking interns, including their apprenticeship program. So a lot of it too is also proving that, and publicizing the success that we have with students like Walker Brown, so that they know that students in high school can do a good job. It's not just, oh, we're gonna have to babysit these kids and be part of this program. Do they all knock it out of the park? I've said before, no, they don't. They're high school kids, and some of them need more guidance than others, but we also have a very high success rate with some really good students that have made this program what it is.
I got a question along the lines of what Mr. Govan. I remember several years ago, and I won't say how many, but during the time when I was in school, they had a program, I think, grant monies were provided by the school, like for summer programs, and students were paid to like help the secretary or issue out food. It was a summer food program that was at the schools at that time and things of that nature. Is that something, do we have monies?
As far as I know, no, there's definitely something I will research.
That's interesting.
I'm always looking for more ways.
Or we can be our own, provide our own internships.
Absolutely.
Like
We do.
within our own system, yeah. Do we
there-
have some that work for our school
We
district?
do.
Okay.
Particularly, finance participates, maintenance and operations participates, and technology.
But to Felicia's point, so they had the Neighborhood Youth Corps program, which was back in the early 70s. And the only reason I know about it, I directed the program for 5 years, I knew it at Eddystone, where you came from. That was one of the first programs in the state. Now, that was federal money. Along the way somewhere, that money got gone. And, given today's situation, I don't know if that money's gonna be coming back anytime soon. But it's those kind of models, I think, that gave a lot of kids an opportunity to work and learn job skills, doing while they were in high school.
That's interesting.
Yeah, there's also the JAG program
Yeah, you got
that's
JAG,
currently
yeah.
around too, that we have through Darlington High School. There's several JAG programs around the state, but that is some grant money, but it's more specific guidelines of what you can do. The income, it's income based, a lot of that is, but Rudell DeBose, helped for years and still is helping us with that. She's also helped with Shannon. We've actually helped with the JAG piece a little bit too, but we had some grant money last year where we were allowed to pay students to work for companies that didn't have the money.
Through the WIOA
yeah.
School Youth Program.
Exactly, the WIOA. But it's a year-by-year basis, unfortunately. But it helped.
They don't do the WIA program anymore?
They do it, but they just weren't offering up the dollars to give to businesses or to pay the internships like we were able to do this past year. The money was not available.
They didn't have the in-school youth.
That's what I was asking about the in-school youth.
I have met with Reverend Mark Bell, who's on the board, and he has taken it to the students, and they're going to try to do that for next year.
That was a good program,
Yeah.
that in-school program. Because you was able to place children, then they still got paid, then they still got good hours. Then they had the summer program as well. I think they could, 5 hours a day at one time. They was making pretty good paychecks back then.
Well, and that's the other big part about this program, that people say, well, why don't you just, let them volunteer? Why don't you just, can they just do an internship? And that's not this program. There are other programs where you can volunteer to do things, but we want it on both sides. On the student side, we want to teach students about money and how much it costs to pay bills and do things. But on the employer side, we also want to make sure that these are not students that you just have go get coffee.
That's right.
Right? They need to be learning a skill, because we're trying to help them find that next step in a career for them, in a job for them. So the money piece is really important. So, over the years, people have said, well, maybe you should just do away with the paid. And I'm like, that's not this program. You got to stick to the integrity of the program for everybody to benefit, even if it's smaller numbers sometimes. I would rather have that help our students be placed in jobs, full-time jobs, versus just something that they're randomly getting hours for. So,
Well, also, it's not just a workforce development program, it's an economic development
Yeah.
program. And our students, they've earned almost $600,000 over the last several years, and they live and work in Darlington County, so they are spending that money mostly here in Darlington County. Also, all the research says that for it to be a valuable experience and for them to retain, it has to be a paid experience. So even a lot of colleges that offer academic credit are moving to that model now.
I think I'd just ask that, keep us up to date. You say, money and awareness are two of the big things. You don't have to do that alone, so let us know how we can help.
Thank you.
Nancy, one more question. For your partnerships, do they all your partnerships have to be within the confines of Darlington County? Or are you able to go outside of the Darlington County?
We do focus on Darlington County, but I have several partners that are in Florence and McBee and right outside the county. So the PD region, we do have a strong partnership with Darlington County Progress, so we tend to look more for Darlington County, but just like A.O. Smith in McBee and Honda now, if that partnership goes through, we definitely are not going to discourage students from taking an internship just because it's in Timminsville.
Thank you.
Anything? I'm scared to close out. I tried
Close out.
to. Are we good?
You good.
thank you,
All
Dr.
right.
Flowers.
Thank you again, Ms. Flowers. Budget report. And I'm presuming we'll kind of do budget report and the budget 2025. Yep, just kind of do them here together.
Yes, good evening. And I can attest to the fact that Shannon's interns are better at interviewing than a lot of the adults that I have interviewed lately. They are amazing, and I employ as many as I can get. Try to discourage them from going into numbers, but no, I'm joking. We have had very good success with the interns, and we keep them busy. So I think our IT department employs our interns, our operations department employs our interns. So it is a great program. I am a full believer that you need to work in something to see. I don't recall ever not working. So I just think they learn more. So for our April budget report, if you have any questions, I'll go over it. Basically, we still don't have the adjustment for the fee and lieu. I did confirm with the county that we will see that in the May revenue report. They will take back that $600,000. I tried to get an exact number, but they didn't have the report yet. And I still don't have the report, so as soon as that comes in, we'll see the variance. But we will also see the adjustment to the 135-day ADM, because if you read the notes I sent, once they did the correct 135-day calculation, instead of losing $1,398,000, we only lost $369,000, which was huge. So that was a big boost to the current year, and that also helped with the projections. So before I move to the budget part, do you have any questions about the April? I mean, everything's in line. I'm still doing projections on what this year is going to end up looking like. Right now, I still think we're going to have about $3.4 million surplus. So we'll see when June hits, but right now that's what we're looking like.
I just say thank you again to the IT department and your team for questioning those 135-day numbers. You saved $1 million just by questioning those numbers and taking the time to dig.
Well, I still owe them a steak dinner. They told me I did, but yeah, something just it didn't look right, and but they were able to dig into it, and unfortunately, when our numbers changed, it changes everybody across the state. So I had a few of my peers reached out and said, hey, what did your numbers look like? I lost money. And I said, yeah, I didn't, but okay. So just the way that formula is, it's, yeah. Anyway, they're still working on it. I actually got a survey today asking for my opinion on some of the things they're looking at changing. So they're moving in the right direction. Any other questions about April? Okay. We had our I had my public meetings this past Thursday, and had nobody show up to ask questions about the budget. So Mr. Schuler and I sat in Darlington and waited, and Mr. Lewis and I sat in Hartsville and waited, and so we didn't have any questions. We've had a few over the years, but not usually. Our newly calculated revenue figures that our final reading proposed budget's $132,175,000. That is an increase of $675,000. I had baked in some adjustment for the 135-day increase, but I didn't have the full effect of it. So that's the largest part of the change. So we have recalculated. One number to note is that the conference committee projections are what we use for the final reading, and I got those Wednesday afternoon. So it was a last minute adjustment. We got those. I had a finance roundtable on Wednesday in Columbia, and the State Department did their presentation and emailed us the numbers as they were presenting on Wednesday. And those numbers, in our projected 26 numbers from the state numbers, we will receive $1.6 million more than we are currently receiving this year. So they asked us if anyone received enough money to fully fund the teacher raises, and no one in the room raised their hands because we didn't, but we received $1.6 million, so, and our cost ended up being around 2.5. We did include in our final reading of the budget, we adjusted the teacher scale. I increased every sale by $1,590, so our bachelor's 0 is at 50 now, but we just did it consistently across the board, and that increased our total. If you look on the last page, if I can get it unstick. There we go. Our total salary increase for certified employees with step and fringe ended up being $2,451,776. We did the 2.5% with a step for all other categories, and that was $1.3 million. And the other items that we had on here, the health insurance employer cost is still the same. Personnel additions, our SRO funding increase. I did receive a call from the State Department last week regarding the funding for the new school SRO, and Kim Nelson and I both talked to the gentleman, and yeah, he said he was trying, but not to count on it, because we're closing 2 schools and opening another school, and we already had SROs in both of those schools. But he called to ask some questions, and when I told him that the board did have $181,500 in funds increase to fund our SRO program, that might have helped. So he said he was going to use that as some leverage, because what we were asking for was less than that. So hopefully we'll get one more position out of that. The paid parental leave was still on the table. When I did this document, I got some information in at 2:30 this afternoon, and I have not looked at it yet, so I don't know if that made it. I know the Senate was deliberating as to whether they were going to pass that or not, so that may or may not end up being a cost for us. And that's an estimate based on the number of people that we had that used it this year. And then the personnel additions, Dr. Newman, I think, updated the list he sent you. It may be a little bit different than my list because we were on two different sides of this world when we did it, but I think there was an additional teacher added after I finalized the paperwork. But we left the bottom line, about $700,000, open, like contingency, or, if you decide to do a Christmas bonus, or, whatever comes up. So we don't, it's not an exact science, it never is, but, and then we don't know about classroom size exactly until registration's over, so we may need to use some of that money. There was something else. Oh, the current year expenditures, our budget this year is over what we budgeted, and I included the 1.8 million, and those are what could be recurring costs. Right now, that 1.8 million includes overages in our substitute categories, which we are looking at. I've got a detailed spreadsheet, and we're analyzing to see if there's a way we can cut back on some of that, but sometimes it's long-term subs, sometimes it's, it's across the board. It's not just teacher substitutes, it's custodians and food service and any subs we use. So, but it was well over what we had budgeted this past year. And then our CERDEP and our reading coaches funds, those are both funded by the State Department. That's the 4K program and the reading coaches, but they don't, they fund an average salary, and some of our people made more than that. And so when those funds don't cover it, we have to move those into the general fund. And that accounted for $837,000 for this year.
Regarding the substitutes, I mean, it'd be interesting to understand why, but I wouldn't suggest that we need to necessarily cut back on doing it. If it's a need, then we just need to make sure we account for it in the future. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, who knows what the reasoning is? It'd be interesting to understand it. And what you're doing.
They approve the reading coaches, but the way they fund it is just not fully funded. So it depends on where your people are on the scale.
But as far as the substitutes, like, one thing that factors into that is, do we have classrooms where we can't hire a teacher?
Right.
So we have to go through our Kelly services to be able to get a certified teacher in a situation. So technically, there may be a vacancy that's offsetting that dollar. So our substitutes may be higher, right? So let's say we have a vacancy here, and we just have one substitute and one vacancy. They equal each other out, but one looks higher than the other does. So we've had a lot of that recently, this past year, especially, positions where people may have left in the middle of the year, and but yeah, we're trying to analyze. I don't think it's a situation where schools are just randomly having a bunch of subs.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying is, like,
Yeah.
we should be cautious looking at that data and
Yeah.
saying that, like, it's an overage because, we need to cut back. We don't want anybody to misunderstand that we don't want our principals and schools to do anything that they shouldn't. I mean, it's not a criticism. It's just something we need to look at.
We're just making sure we're using the funds
The way it's intended.
Exactly.
appropriately.
Let me ask you a question. Does Kelly service still seem to be the best route to go?
I
Does
didn't.
Kelly service seem to still be the best route to go?
I mean, at this point in time, I mean, we've had very good,
Yeah,
fill
we
rates are
have,
incredible
yeah.
with them. I mean, typically, they're 90 to 95% fill rates. I never experienced that before.
I can't
with
imagine.
Kelly services. So there's other players out there,
Yeah.
but I would not be comfortable having that conversation right now because, like I said, the fill rates, the key is when somebody calls out sick, is there somebody in the room to take their place? And, 90 to 95% of the time, even during high flu season time, I mean, it has been good.
Yeah, we've had very good results with them.
I have just a little bit of a question. We, last year, I know we were coming out ahead at the end, but as far as our budget, we were 2.8 over budget. Now, revenue-wise, we were able to cover that.
Revenue-wise, we were $6 million over.
Right.
But there's a lot
So,
of
but my
reasons for that.
question is, are we leaving ourselves enough in that contingency at only being $761,000?
Yeah, I think.
And I would say,
Because what I was told was that we went over because we ended up, we had to fill positions. We had to
Right.
come in and we had to hire. So, I mean, that was the,
More special ed, yeah.
yeah,
Well, the revenues, the revenues were over.
right, we can't always guarantee it. I mean, we may have had a high, I know you count low, I mean, I know the percent that, you usually
Well,
say, we're
I'm
gonna
pretty comfortable.
collect at whatever rate that our taxes are gonna come in at.
Oh, yeah.
But-
And we only estimate 95% collection.
Right, that's what I'm saying,
and
right.
If we collect 100%, that's another $2 million.
Correct.
So, there's things that you don't know, but there's, as far as, being able to predict it, there's things I don't know. But I feel comfortable, I never feel comfortable raising the budget by this much without really analyzing it. I have done, I've got an 18-year revenue spreadsheet.
Right, but I'm concerned that we put in 1.8 million new in personnel, and that's a recurring expense.
that's not just personnel. The 1.8 was.
Positions for request list, that
Oh,
was
I just put this
1.8.
in. Yeah, that's not from this past year. That's new.
Right, that's new, I'm
Right,
just
right.
saying.
Right.
But now
Yeah.
we're adding 1.8 million in recurring cost. I want to be careful as we move into, possibly some economic uncertainty, that we're just not.
I'm very conservative. There's things in here that aren't, we're.
I'm just expressing my concern.
I agree with you.
And I would say, again, if you look at the history of the past 7 years, we have always been, we have never been significantly under, like where we finished the year significantly lower than where we should have been when the dust settled. And we're very conservative in the projections for revenues for a reason, because we don't want to have the whoopsies that come up, and realize that through the year too. Like if there's a need for a position, if we don't see ourselves, trending ahead in revenues, we're not as likely to do anything for ads like that. So, and there's no ads that happen without. Again, if there's a special needs classroom that we have that's too many students in it, we have to add a teacher. That's what we do. If there's
I'm not questioning what happens during the year that we have to do.
Yep.
I guess I'm questioning, have we very carefully made sure that this 1.8 that we put in now in recurring funds,
Yes.
that this is, we just downsized.
And honestly, while I'm
We,
standing
quote unquote,
here.
we right-sized
While
just
I'm
last
standing here,
year.
I just found a mathematical error, so we didn't
Well,
really
don't-
put in 1.8 because the law enforcement and the special ed is on there on a separate line item.
Yep.
So we're actually $600,000 less than what's on that sheet, and I didn't notice that till I just got the.
600 spent less.
Yeah, there's 400,000 special ed, that's a separate line item, and 180, it's actually 181.5 on my list. That's already included, and that's on that $1.8 million list, so I need to pull that
Yeah,
off.
yeah.
So we both missed that.
Yeah.
So you're saying
There were a
it's
lot of
double counted.
changes, yeah, there's more money in contingency because of that.
Yeah, because of that, right.
Yeah,
So we have
Just
more
wanna
than
make
what.
sure.
yeah, I was scrambling on Thursday to get all the changes made when we just got the information in on Wednesday, so. But yeah, I will edit that.
Do we have a budget wish list, like things that we may pursue or would like to pursue based on what our budget looks like?
Yes,
Well,
at
we
the
met with
beginning,
the
yeah.
principals at the beginning of the process, and the people wish list came from them. And the capital wish list is still to be determined, because that's a separate pot of money. That's not general fund money. So we have that too, yeah.
So we'll be going through that.
Yeah.
When do we go through that, just for our new members, like trying to remember the capital budget?
Well, we're gonna sit down with Dr.
pretty soon.
Ferguson and go through the capital list that we have and kind of where we are, and then I would imagine that our board, I'm sure we'll have a board mini retreat after we do all that to determine where we go next, because you will have to decide that, but
Yeah,
Mr.
typically it's,
Schuler and I are gonna sit down with him with the last version of the list and go through and show what the new wish list is, and then we'll bring it back to you guys.
typically that's been right after passing the budget, because getting it
Right, it's usually in the
operational,
summer,
and then it's the
early
next.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So.
Does anybody have any other questions? All right, that moves on to our action items, which we now need to do a second reading on this budget for the 2025-2026 year. So I'll accept a motion to accept the budget, the second reading. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Anyone, wait, did everyone vote? Charles? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right, Dr. Newman. Dr. Newman, this will be your last superintendent's update for us.
I think there's a song called "This Is It," if I'm not mistaken. That's it. Yeah, from back in the day. Yeah, so just a couple things for the superintendent update. Graduations, we had 4 great graduations. Super excited to see our students walk across the stage. Thank you, board members, everybody that was able to participate. It's just always the culmination of the year to see the smiles and the excitement of our students and our families that were there. So anyways, kudos to all of our principals and the way that they had well-run events, especially Darlington High School was out there with the leaf blowers blowing off the chairs from the rain the night before, and everything was fine. The artificial turf actually helped us with that, because normally if it was grass, it would have been muddy and wet, but our turf actually came in very handy for that, so that was great. But anyways, just a shout out to our principals. We have started summer school. Last week, our elementary summer school started. Our third grade programs, they last through the end of this month, and then our high school and middle school programs start this week. And they also last through the end of the month. So everything, the elementary program is 4 weeks, the middle school and high school program is 3 weeks, and they will run through the end of June. So if you see activity going on at our schools, that's what's happening with our summer school. We've been looking at what we have available to us with MAP scores is math. And so we are, we're seeing some encouraging signs from many of our schools with the early math scores. We don't have anything back really that we can look at from an ELA and reading standpoint at this point in time. That is now broken up into several different parts now. So we have to wait to get all 3 parts in to give us what is our ELA reading. But the math is, we have that data, and we have several schools that have made some really nice gains. So overall, I think you're going to see that the district has a nice gain in math this year. And so we've been disaggregating that information, and that will be presented to you in the future by Dr. Nichols and Dr. Ferguson. So. But on that note, this is the final meeting. I want to first and foremost thank you, board, current board members and board members prior in my 7 years here for all of your focus on students and all of your support for our schools and just everything that you have done for our kids. I mean, it all starts at this table, and without you, we really can't. We can't pass a budget and do a lot of other things that help our kids. So I wanted to thank you all for that. I want to thank, my SLT team, who has been incredibly dedicated and hardworking over the years, and they do a lot of behind-the-scenes things that nobody really knows about. But they are the masters at putting out fires, and they make me look a lot better than I would look if they weren't doing the jobs that they do. Our district office staff, our principals, who are so focused on their needs of their students and the success of their students. Just grateful to work with so many principals over the years that are focused on our kids. And then, of course, our teachers and staff. I mean, there's nothing that brings me greater joy than walking into a classroom and seeing our teachers do what they do, which is everything that they can to help our students to be the best versions of themselves. It never gets old when I walk by a 5 or 6 year old and they look up at me and they ask if I'm the mayor or the president or any of those things, and I very quietly say, "No, that's not me." But I get to explain I'm kind of like the boss of the bosses, and the principal of principals, and all those fun things. But Darlington County School District is in a wonderful place, and it's not because of Tim Newman. It's because of all the people that I mentioned and all the dedication that they have to this district, which will continue long after Tim Newman is gone. I wish Dr. Ferguson nothing but the best as he moves into a wonderful situation. I know you're going to do great things, and I know having that knowledge already of Darlington County schools is going to be a big benefactor to you. But I will tell you, it's been a great season and brought me a lot of joy. And I will fondly always remember my time in Darlington County, and will always be looking at the great things that are going on, and to see all the new things that are going on with workforce development and student achievement and all those other things, because I always want the best for Darlington County. So thank you for allowing me to serve, and I will look forward to watching the next meeting online with Dr. Ferguson.
I'm sure that's what, I'm sure you will. I'm sure
Live, right?
Live.
Praise God.
All right.
And that's what I have for the superintendent's update.
Thank you, Dr. Newman. Ms. Thomas?
Well, Dr. Newman, being one of the newer board members, I've only had an opportunity to work with you approximately 4 months. That time has been enjoyable, and I just wish you success in your future endeavors.
Is that it?
That's all.
Okay. All right. Didn't want to interrupt. Yeah, just congratulations to our graduates. So that was exciting. I had got to go through that a second time. Empty nest is coming. So I have mixed emotions about that. But it was, but yeah, it was congratulations to all the graduates. It's great to see their successes. And anyway, I'll get teary if I talk about it too much. Anyway, and to you, Dr. Newman, thank you. I mean, you saw us through COVID, and thank God I wasn't on this board when you were going through that. But I know, I've heard a lot. I experienced it as a parent in the district, and I know there was a lot that all the board members and you as a superintendent had to go through during that time. And thank you for your leadership through that, and thank you personally for teaching me a lot over the last 2 years, and always being available for a phone call, and patiently teaching me, how education works. It's one thing to come in as a parent, you're a stakeholder, but you don't understand the inner workings. So it's been really interesting to learn, and I appreciate your patience and my many, many questions. Get ready. I have a lot of questions. But anyway, maybe I'll have fewer because he's already helped me for a couple of years. But anyway, thank you so much for your leadership and for your focus on our students and our people. And I feel like I know your heart, that I've learned that you value our students more than anything, and our people in our district, and I just appreciate that so much. So good luck in your next position. I know you'll make a big impact there as well.
Well, first of all, Dr. Newman, I was here when you came, and many of the things that I was asked as we ventured to hire a superintendent, as I've had that conversation with you, some of them have proven to be true. Some of them proven not to be true. But I think the one thing that I have admired and noticed about you is the fact that, in fact, you really do put children first, regardless of color, economic status, or whatever. I think you really work at putting students first. And I'm sure that Spartanburg, too, will gain that experience from you have gained from the last two superintendents now as you go to them. The only other thing that I wanted to mention is the fact that Dr. Sweeney, she has a doctorate now, had reached out to the community of fraternities and sororities. You were talking about reading earlier. So one of the incentives that she came up with was to ask the fraternities and sororities to buy a bicycle that will be given to the kids will be given to one of the children who does the better job, I guess, at each of the schools. So I've spent this morning picking up and delivering to Bay Road four bicycles. So, now, however, let me say this so I can get this straight. Omega Psi Phi did not buy 4 bicycles. We purchased 2 of the 4. The Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority of Hartsfield purchased 1, and the Deltas in Hartsfield purchased 1. So Jackie Lynn asked me to go pick hers up for the Deltas. My wife asked me to pick up the one for AKA. So I guess I became the gopher. But I just want you all to know that, in fact, I think that's a good gesture. I think it's a motivative avenue to get kids on board for reading. Hopefully it will prove fruitful at the end with our test scores in terms of reading going up. That's it.
So I feel like we kind of grew up together. Like you know, I was brand new to the board. You weren't brand new to being a superintendent, but I think that you've probably seen growth in some of us, and I think we've seen growth in you. So I do appreciate your leadership. You did. I was here during COVID, and it sucked. But your leadership through that was probably one of the things that I will remember the most about you, and could never fault anyone for trying to get closer to God's country. So understand that you're going to do great things up there in the upstate. And
You won't be too far from Columbia.
We were together. He knew
Yes.
Absolutely. Excited for you and new starts and beginnings.
Dr. Newman, you and I, we had a personal relationship. And one thing I do know, God knows the heart of a man. And God knows your heart. So, and I know how you poured into this district and how you gave of yourself, sacrificed your time with your family for this district. I want you to know I appreciate you. I appreciate your work. And as you leave us as a minister, I'm asking God's blessing on your life and your family. And I'm asking God to bless everything your hand touches. And that you be to Spartanburg too, what you have done for us. And I thank God for sending you this way at such a time. Because everything is ordained by God, and everything is in line with His will. And you have done some great things here, and you have had some challenges here, but it made you a better man. And I thank you. I thank you for the 3 years I had with you. Thank you for teaching me, learning me, and spending time with me. And I thank you for those quiet prayers that we had together. And Godspeed to you. Don't forget us. We hope we see you at some of the meetings. And I look forward to this part of your life that's ending, but you're moving on. And I thank God for the new superintendent that we have coming in. And so we're gonna keep praying for you here as we pray for our new superintendent as well. Because you've left him a good legacy to walk into. So I thank you, and I thank you. That's all I have to say.
Well, everybody took a lot of mine. I'll start with, like Charles, I was here from the beginning, here in the interview process and hiring you. And so, that's always will hold a special piece there. To Mandy and to Leanne, we went through COVID. And to Leanne's point, it did. It was challenging. But I think we were able to, through your leadership, take us through that with, when 50% of the people were unhappy with us 100% of the time, we kept together, and I think that was through your leadership. And so, I will always do that. I think probably your biggest impact that you, and legacy, I think that you will leave on this district, which was something that was very near and dear to my heart, which is the workforce development piece. And I think that is a program that, we will always, everybody says, well, when someone's, that I think is the thing, is where your biggest legacy will be left here. Not that you haven't touched all the lives and this and the other, but I just think you've got a stamp on that, and we are a better district because of that. To Leanne's piece about y'all grew up together, I think we grew up together, and I think you may never find another more challenging. And we have had our moments, but I think the growth, and I think the constant focus that the main reason we are here is for the students. And despite our differences and despite the ways sometimes that we get there, I think you keep your eye on the prize, and that's the route you go. And I think that's the route that we went. And for everyone who is able to make it, on June 12th at the Rooster at from 9 in the morning to 10:30. We're going to have coffees. We're going to have an ingoing and outgoing. And so this is kind of will be, if you would like to come and just have some personal time and share, and we can share some stories and such, to send you off, and also to welcome Dr. Ferguson in. So I appreciate all you did. Thank you. Best of luck to you in Spartanburg too. And we'll go from there.
Thank you. I just would like to mention you had blue hair the first time I met you. I just thought I'd throw that out.
You thought you'd throw that out, and you thought, oh my God, what are we going to do? So anyhow, it is good. All right, we've got our personnel actions. Can we get a motion to approve our personnel actions?
So moved.
Go ahead, Leanne.
Can I get a second? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. And looks like we do have to have an executive session, so I'll entertain an executive session for personnel matters and contractual matters.
Make a motion, we move into executive session to discuss personnel and contractual matters.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Anyone opposed? We'll move into executive session. And I'll take a motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
All in favor? Out of executive session, no actions were taken, no votes were taken, and I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Afternoon. That's it.
Thank you.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.